So yeah, I have a friend who he's just got into grilling. I helped him out with old grill that I had, a pellet grill. And he started asking me a lot of questions about it. And it got me thinking, it's like, okay, he asked me about recipes and things to do and how to do this with this temperature and all that good stuff, right? And he's gonna need that stuff, right? I think that's important that he does understand that he's gonna need different temperatures, different guides, different understanding. But then, as we were going more into his cook, I asked him how long has it been on the pit. He told me about 2 or 3 hours. I asked him, did he feel the meat? He was like, no. He said it felt okay. And then it got to the point to where it seemed like he was getting a little frustrated on his end. And I don't know if he's there yet. He's just a beginner at this. He's really excited. But I think what people need more than anything than recipes or guides. I just did a YouTube video about that, talking about that very thing. And in this case, I gave a guide to how to make cold brew. Not to actually how to make cold brew, but a guide to. And there's a difference there, because if I'm sitting there giving you recipes and this is how you brew, this is what you do and all that stuff, that's more so a recipe. And I think recipes have their place and moment, right? I think recipes are more to an extent, more so for like a beginner, because they don't know if they should trust themselves, because they're just trying this thing out for the very first time. And I think that's extremely important that we show people or help people out in a way to where we do give them recipes, but at the end of the day, truly what we're really trying to get them to do or get to isn't a guide, an actual guide. So let's look up some definitions real quick. A person who advises or shows the way to others. A structure or marking which directs the motion or positioning of something. Those are the nouns. The verbs: show or indicate the way to someone. Like that one. Direct or have an influence on the course of action. So when I gave my guide to cold brew, it wasn't so much of a recipe. I mean, it kind of was. Don't get me wrong. It was, what I did was I gave people some measurements, easy measurements to remember. But I did tell them how long they should theoretically steep or cold brew the coffee. And then at the end of the day, I told them to gauge it and trust it on their own, because that's really what it's about. It's not so much about, I may be the expert in this, but it gets to the point to also where people need to trust their own judgment. And I think that's the thing that I'm trying to understand right now, is that when you have a recipe, you're not trusting your own judgment, because you don't know what's the right way, what makes sense, right? What's the things that you can do or can't do, because all you're really trying to do is trying to replicate that idea, that logic, that thing that you're trying to taste, that you're trying to try, right? And I think that's the most important thing here. So once, just talking about this out loud is more of a graduation type of thing. You start with a recipe. You figure things out, you follow it to the T, you taste it, analyze it, break it down, and then probably do it another 1 or 2 more times that same way. And then you start to deviate. Then you start to put in your own techniques. You start to understand that you may not necessarily like that flavor profile that person gave you, even if it is mainly neutral to the taste that they did make that particular dish or recipe, right? And then you go down this rabbit hole. I think you should. You don't have to. You can just keep doing the recipe the same way that you want to, because it may just be perfect for you. But that's the thing, that things are not like that all the time. We humans have a quirky way of really figuring out that we like things the way we like it, and for whatever reason. And I think that's extremely important that we do get to that point to where we do understand that, hey, this can always be tweaked. This can always be changed. If I was talking to that same friend and asking him about something that he's an expert at, I've noticed that most people will give you a guide, a not so much of a recipe, but like what they think and what they have their judgments on, and what they think that's going to be the best way for you to actually get the results that you want out of it, And I think there's no problem with that. And one thing that I'm understanding, having a little bit more humility, is that you got to understand where people are in this whole journey. It's just like the coffee thing. Coffee is extremely important to me. I've been doing it for a very long time. And the cool thing about coffee, especially when you start talking about specialty coffee, people who really geek out in coffee, is that we are more so on the exact same journey, right? It just looks different. I started on the journey of enjoying different coffees, trying them in different coffee makers, and then going into the whole roasting side of it, But that doesn't mean that that next person who loves coffee too is not an expert in what they do like and what they don't like. And that's one of the things that I'm really trying to understand and grasp with this whole coffee recipe type of thing that I'm trying to go out there and do and provide people, because it's extremely important to me that I do give people something of value that they can gravitate to, that they can understand, and they do understand it. And that's the beauty of this journey. And that's the thing that people don't really talk about or really say that that's going to be something that helpful to them, because just like with you, when you try a different new recipe, you go about it in a way to where you try it that first time, like I said already, and you try to get better, right? You try to change things up. And the same thing, there's no difference with coffee. Coffee, people already have their ways of their rituals, what they like. They like more of a light roast, and they like more of an acidic type of coffee, more lemon flavor forward, They don't probably care so much about the chocolate nutty notes of a Brazilian coffee, So I may say something and give them a recipe, or in this case, it's going to be more so like a guide to where you're going to come up with things to where you're going to help them along the journey. And I think that's really what it's all about. It's about helping people come to a conclusion and understanding that this is something that's not set in stone. This is something that I have tried, that I have done in a way to where it does make sense. It does make logical sense that these decisions and these steps that I'm giving are what people need in order to really come to the conclusion that I've come to. But again, that's the beauty of this. You try it once or twice even as a guide. I think that's the beauty of guides, because it's just the start of a new exploration, right? I think that's extremely important, because even if I did, for instance, give you a recipe, and let's say at that time you did use my coffee beans, that's what works for that time. I may roast it slightly different the next time, and you try to get the coffee the next time, and you may notice that the coffee is a little different. I'm gonna turn the boat a little bit, about 5 to 10 degrees, to try something different, just because I know that that's gonna probably give me the taste and feel that I want, or what I tasted before. It's kind of like the same experiment that I did before with the whole underdeveloped coffee. It's like, okay, what can I do differently, or what can I do in order to alter this taste or get the thing that I want to get out of this coffee, because this is what I got. And I think that's where you, being the brewer, is an expert in, because you don't really have so much of a say in what coffee you get. And you just get a bag of coffee and you just go for it, right? And yes, even though you may get the same type of coffee from that same roaster, things are always going to be different. Things are not going to be homogeneous all the time. So you're always tweaking and altering your recipe in order to suit your taste, either for that time or for what you tasted before. And that's the beauty of this. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that I can give you, is that nothing is really set in stone here. Everything has the opportunity to be changed, to be altered, to be different in a way to where people can enjoy the way that they want to. So guides over recipes, right? That's the way I look at it. However, you do need to start with the recipe, especially in the beginning, because if you do, you'll get more comfortable. You'll be more confident in the choices that you make. That's dependent on your palate. That's dependent on your taste, depending on that moment. And then as you get more experience and understand what's going on, you're going to be in a place to where you'll be more confident, and you can try and do different things, and to the point to where you'll be ready to try new things, explore, and enjoy it, right? So I think it's cool that we explore and try different things and have fun with this. Once we get more acclimated to what we're trying to do, we're going to be in a place to where it does make sense. I don't want to ramble anymore. So I hope that this is helpful for you. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.